Yes, we can quarantine that person.
Good afternoon, students. Okay, this afternoon, we are going to have a debate. And this particular debate will comprehensively explain the positive and negative impact of probability in our daily life activities. But prior to this particular debate, I am going to narrate the brief history of probability, how it came into existence. Once upon a time, way back in 17th century, there were two mathematicians, and these mathematicians were Peredi Fermat and Blaise Pascal. They really wanted to help their friend who really wanted to increase his money or his wealth or financial resources without any sweat of hard labor. That is why if we are talking about probability in our class, we cannot help to discuss with you the gambling activities. Now students, what do you think are the three common gambling activities that we are always discussing inside the classroom? Anybody from the class? What are the three commonly observed gambling activities? Number one is, what is number one? Yes, toasting a coin. How about the second one?
Rolling a dice.
Rolling a die. And the most commonly observed is what?
Playing under decks of cards.
Very good. Now, one day, one of my students in the lower section reacted, Sir Abdullah, why are we always talking about gambling activities inside our class? Are we not encouraged or motivated to do the gambling activities right after our class? And I replied, students, there is no problem that we are talking about these gambling activities because this is just only a lesson. We cannot avoid to discuss with you the gambling activities because when we say probability, it is talking about a game of chance. That is why, students, probability has many applications, especially in the fields of medicines. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I am going to call the presence of one of the moderators of this afternoon's activity, no other than Miss Claire Casuno, to present to us the situation as well as the proposition that the two competing teams are going to discuss with each other. Give her a round of applause. Miss Casuno, take the floor of this honorable court.
Thank you, Sir Abdullah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of this honorable court. I am going to deliver you the situation and the proposition of this debate. And the situation comes like this. One day, the doctor found out that his patient has a 50% or one-half probability or chance to prolong his life due to a terminal illness. The infection can easily be transmitted from one person to another. And the doctor said that the family shall incur millions of pesos for his medication. Yet, his chance of living is very slim, meaning the patient can die anytime due to his illness. And the doctor suggested that euthanasia or mercy killing is the best way to cease the pain experienced by the patient and to avoid the transfer of this infectious disease to other person. But the family do not accept nor agree with the findings of the doctor. No probability could tell how long we live in this world. We're very willing to spend even for the last centavo from our pockets just to save the life of our son, the parents told. And the proposition is, resolved if euthanasia or mercy killing be applied with the said patient based from the context of probability given by the doctor. And now, ladies and gentlemen, may we call on my partner, Miss Princess Grace Casuyon, to take the floor to explain the mechanics of this debate as well as to introduce the Board of Judges.
Thank you very much, Miss Claire L. Casuno. To the Board of Judges, who will be introduced later. To our mathematics teacher, Sir Samsudin and Abdullah, sir. To my fellow students, good afternoon. I am Princess Grace D. Casuyon, one of the moderators of this afternoon's debate. It is my part to give you the mechanics of this debate, to introduce to you the Board of Judges, as well as the members of the affirmative side and the negative side. I am requesting everyone to please keep in silence while the debate is going on. The debate is composed of two competing teams with 6 members each. There are 4 speakers in each team, and the other 2 members will serve as the timekeeper and the overseer of each team. Each speaker, both from affirmative and the negative side, is given a maximum of 3 minutes to deliver his or her speech, except for the rebuttal speakers, who will be given a maximum of 4 minutes to deliver his or her speech. Buzzer will be heard if the speaker will exceed to the maximum time limit. After each speaker from each side, interpellation will be followed. Cross-examination will done as follows. First speaker of the affirmative side versus the first speaker of the negative side. Second speaker of the affirmative side versus the second speaker of the negative side. Third speaker of the affirmative side versus the third speaker of the negative side. Rebuttal speeches will automatically follow after the last part of interpellation. To determine the winning team, the following are the criteria for judging. Evidence 25%, delivery 30%, interpellation 30%, rebuttal 15% with a total of 100%. To determine the best speaker, the following are the criteria for judging. Reading skill, mixed method of memory and conversational dramatic, 25%. Voice, gestures, audience contact, and voice projection, 25%. Art of questioning during the interpellation or speech, 25%. Skill in answering questions during the interpellation or speech, 25% with a total of 100%. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome the Board of Judges. Mr. Alan Ray and Pakulanan, Teacher 2 from Mathematics Department. Let's give them a round of applause. Mrs. Ruby G. Margani, Mathematics Department Head, Master Teacher 1. Let's give her a round of applause. Mr. Jose T. Ibanez, Law Graduate, Master Teacher 2 from Science Department and the Chairman of the Board of Judges. Let's give them a round of applause. And finally, here are the members of the affirmative side. First speaker, Daniel Katap, Jr. Second speaker, Joshim S. Yusuf. Third speaker, John Daniel Argeles. The rebuttal speaker, Generals A. Hetuliaga. The timekeeper, Generals Fernandez. And the secretary of the affirmative side, Princess Joy Tabanon. Let's give them the round of applause. And here, the members of the negative side. First speaker, Jezebel B. Singson. Second speaker, John Ray C. Takulod. Third speaker, Angela L. Musaso. The rebuttal speaker, Marifer Piat. The timekeeper, Ken Joshua Villanueva. And the secretary of the negative side, Francis Oliver M. Sipi. And now, are you excited for the battle?
Yes!
Now, let the battles begin!
Good day to all of you in this honorable court. First, let me introduce what is euthanasia. Euthanasia is the practice of intentionally ending a life in order to relieve pain and suffering. That patient should be applied with euthanasia. Why? Because according to the doctor, that the patient has only 50% probability to prolong his life. And according to the doctor, that even millions of money to be spent on his medication is useless because the patient will die anytime due to his illness. The doctor also said that the patient carries the disease that can easily be transferred from one person to another. Yes, we can quarantine that person, but there are also doctor, nurse, and other person to give food and to take care of that person. Even they have modern protective gear, they can also acquire the disease. According to Daniel Bausch, that even there is modern technology, intelligent scientists, keen researchers, many people die due to diseases because it's too long to process a cure. that patient is suffering into a severe pain due to his illness. Yes, there are pain relievers, painkillers and anesthesia, but it will only relieve the pain temporarily, and excessive dose can relieve the pain completely, which can cause death. I believe that euthanasia is the only permanent solution for his suffering. According to Dr. Jack Kevorkia, dying is not a crime. What if the patient was my only sibling? Would I still apply euthanasia on him? Yes, I will still apply euthanasia on him, because watching my loved one suffering, it will break my heart, and I won't let that happen, that all of my loved ones will transfer to the disease. Let's presume that you are a dying patient that was also paralyzed. Would you spend the rest of your life being spoon-fed? Would you spend the rest of your life in severe pain? Would you want to see your family, friends having fun yet you couldn't do anything? Think about it. According to Julia King, that euthanasia is not a choice between peace, that life and death, but a choice between peace and suffering. I guarantee when you apply euthanasia on that patient, you will acquire peace instead of suffering. As you can see on the cemetery, RIP, which means rest in peace. So euthanasia is appropriate.
Interpellation.
You mentioned that the dead people in the cemetery has a tag RIP, which means rest in peace. How about the people who died by murder, who died by torture, who are until now do not get the justice that they need? Do you think that they can still rest in peace, Mr. Katab?
Yes, victims of tortures and murders can rest in peace. Before they die, they get too much pain and suffering, but after that, they die and they acquire rest in peace. They don't know anything or feel anything, just peace. It's not about justice. We're talking, it's between peace and suffering.
You also mentioned that dying is not a crime, Mr. Katab. Yes, dying is not a crime, but do you think that killing is still not a crime?
Dying is not a crime. We all human die. Yes, killing is a crime, but it depends on the situation, because there are some considerations. For example, a soldier can kill a terrorist. Yes, that is killing, but that is considered not a crime because it is his job to protect people.
Good afternoon, honorable judges. Good afternoon, spectators. I am against euthanasia or mercy killing. Why? Because it is imprudent to kill someone who still has a chance to live. Even though it is 1/2 or 50% probability to continue his life, he still has the right to live. If to use the process of euthanasia or keeping my patient alive, I'll choose to keep him alive because letting him enjoy the rest of his life lessens my sorrow. Though it's not easy, but the fact that he still exists is a kind of relief. Losing someone who is very important to us is like a nightmare that no one here in this class wants to experience, right? Indeed, losing someone who is very important to us is a tragic. So if I had to decide, I will probably, without any hesitation, not agree nor sign that waiver for mercy killing. Hundreds of reasons are not enough to decide about someone's death. 1 million? 2 million? Even if it reaches billions of money to waste just to save the person's life, that wasted money will be nothing compared to one's life because a person's life is precious. Euthanasia is like a murder. Doctors sometimes offer euthanasia on dying patients just to end their suffering. Didn't they take an oath that says they will do whatever they can do to save people? Euthanasia is against humanity. No one is allowed to kill someone. You will kill a person just because you want to relieve their pain? That is useless. Ladies and gentlemen, is my opponent crazy? You will killing someone. Ending the life of someone just complicates the situation. Take note of the popular adage. It's not the real essence of mathematics to complicate simple things, but to make complicated things simple. Killing innocent people, although he is in severe pain, is ridiculous. It doesn't solve the problem. No one is allowed to kill someone because euthanasia is also a murder. It is against the law. Depending on the circumstances, euthanasia is regarded as punishable by law with a maximum penalty of up to life imprisonment. Therefore, euthanasia is not the solution to the given problem.
Interpellation.
No, we don't. No, we don't complicate things, but you are, because when you let the patient alive, he will undergo too much medication, too much suffering, and too much pain. And he's still going to die, and that's complicated. But we only want him to be dead, and that's simple. And my question. As we know that painkiller and anesthesia will only relieve pain temporarily, what is your permanent solution for his suffering and severe pain? Prove it.
Yes, the painkiller will only relieve pain temporarily, but at least the patient's suffering will lessen. Permanent solution to relieve severe pain is not yet discovered, but there are scientists and specialists who are trying their best to discover the said solution.
Which one would your loved one prefer to die? Die suffering or die peacefully? Prove it.
Of course, to let him die peacefully, but letting him die through an illegal way is what I have said. Technology of today's generation is a big factor that helps doctors and other professionals to help solve the problem. That's all.
The speech of the second speaker from the affirmative side.
Once again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am in favor of euthanasia. Why? Because euthanasia will prevent a prolonged and painful death. Everyone on this classroom, believe to me, if you were in the position of the patient with intense pain and suffering, you would not choose to live in a life full of suffering and eventual death. Euthanasia is legal and eventually not a murder. Why it is not a murder? Because it is not a brutal act of killing and it is only administered with the consent of the patient or his family. The definition of murder is to kill brutally. Webster Dictionary goes on to define euthanasia as an easy and painless death or method of causing death painlessly so as to end suffering. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear opponent, euthanasia benefits will be shared mainly by the family of the patients since it saves the health costs and reduces the financial burden to them. It would be a great strength for the friends and family to look after someone who is terminally ill, so mercy killing benefits in this way too. The benefits would be a vast to a person who is suffering from severe pain because it is the quickest way to set them free and give the peace that he deserves. That is how advantageous the mercy killing. So I insist that euthanasia should be applied on that same patient. Let's stop the pain experienced by the patient who is terminally ill. Let's avoid the virus possibly transmitted from this disease. Let's apply euthanasia to save the lives of majority. Thank you.
Interpellation.
You said in your speech that euthanasia is legal and not a murder. Eventually, it is murder because euthanasia killed patient. How it become not a murder since this is about killing? And you can prove to me that euthanasia is not a murder.
Mr. Takulod, it is about killing, but murder is different from euthanasia. Euthanasia is not a murder because it is not a brutal act of killing, and it is only administered with the consent of the family. The definition of murder is to kill brutally. Mr. Takulod, Webster Dictionary goes on to define euthanasia as an easy and painless death.
The speech of the second speaker from the negative side.
Board of Judges, spectators, good afternoon. I am against with the euthanasia. Why? Because it is not the solution of the problem. The patient has a probability of 50% that he will survive in this world. We let the patient live until the cure will be discovered. The government will not let the virus spread, and there are several ways to prevent it. The family cannot stand alone, but with the help of the government and other countries, we can solve it. And it is not euthanasia, and we should respect the decision of the family. In the majority of the countries, euthanasia is against the law. According to the National Health Services in the United Kingdom, it is illegal to help somebody kill himself regardless of circumstances. Assisted suicide or mercy killing carries a maximum sentence of 14 years in prison in the said country. My dear opponents, You are not afraid that you will imprison for 14 years because of this activity? We don't need to end one's life just to stop spreading of this virus. The doctor may use safety suits so that the disease will not spread. Nearly all pain can be relieved with our modern technology we have this time. If the patient will be quarantined, it is impossible that the disease will spread. The doctor may use safety suits so that the disease will not spread from one person to another. To quarantine the patient is one of the best answers and avoid contact with others and prevent transmission of illness. If the doctor suggests that the way to ease the pain is the euthanasia, why not refer to the other specialist? For there is another deal with the disease. Specialists, doctors, scientists, and government will spend millions of money to cure and give the patient who is now in agony having the probability to survive and to live. Let us be open-minded and stand for what is right without violating the law and other people. This activity is not only saving one's life, but also the world of mankind. Thus, the euthanasia should not be applied with the said patient.
The interpellation.
Oh, Mr. Takulot, you mentioned that majority of the country illegalized the mercy killing. Then give at least 4 countries that illegalized the euthanasia, and what's the reason on making it as an illegal one?
The countries that illegalized the euthanasia are Wales, England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. These countries illegalized the euthanasia because they treated it as a murder.
The speech of the third speaker from the affirmative side.
Mic test. Good afternoon to each and every one of you. We are human beings. We think logically. We understand and provide logical reasons to complicated situations. In the given situation, there is no given probability of how long he will live. But it's already a known fact that he would surely die, eventually. Yes, sure, you would disagree. Who would not? But people also have the right to die. Without that, we do not have human life by its very own definition. And I quote, "Every man has the fundamental right to live." You people who say this also agree that every man has the fundamental right to die. This was very well said by Dr. Jack Kevorkian. A probability of 50% won't help because we are talking about curing him. Nobody thinks of their death and desires it to be extremely painful or horrible. Rational human beings desire a good, dignified end to an ideally long and fruitful life. Do we have the right to compare their experiences day by day, having experienced none of them, and say they don't deserve to die with dignity? No! To do so, we would be selfish enough to impose our own desires on that person, thereby restricting their freedom to self-determine, even if it's in the most basic sense. Containing the patient isn't the solution. The risk of containing him is highly dangerous. Highly dangerous, people. It could increase panic within the public, and the fact that he's in very deep pain and is isolated, surely he would want to live the best he is in. Thus, I strongly support the decision of the doctor to apply euthanasia to cease the pain experienced by the patient. Euthanasia, or in Greek definition, good death.
The interpellation.
Mr. Hercules, my question is answerable by yes or no only. In the given situation, there is only one doctor mentioned, right?
Yes.
Then, how could you accept the suggestion of that certain doctor without consulting to others?
Because it's already a known fact, written right here, that his illness is incurable, and the doctors will just prolong his suffering, not cure him.
The speech of the third speaker from the negative side.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, especially to the panel of judges and to our mathematics teacher, Mr. Samsudin and Abdullah. According to grade 10 Values Education book, authored by Mary Jean B. Bruzella et al., euthanasia is an act where a certain individual's life
with a severe and incurable disease is made easy through the use of modern medical technology. This can also be called as mercy killing or assisted suicide. Even though the terms connote compassion and assistance, we cannot deny the fact that we still upending killing an innocent life. And killing is an act which destroys life. In other words, killing can only be done by crazy and violent people like criminals. This is not the point and the law of humanity. From the given situation, the patient with a contagious disease has 50% probability of prolonging his life, and that number still has a big impact to assist the patient cure his disease. Let me remind you, my dear opponents, 50% probability doesn't guarantee that we have to end one's life. Are you crazy? Come to think. Although the illness of the patient is contagious, there's still a best option to minimize the chance of transfer of this disease from one person to other, and that is to quarantine the patient. The family is willing to spend even the last centavo from their pockets to save the life of their son. Why don't we give the parents a chance to embrace the last moment of their son? Ladies and gentlemen, 50% probability still can give medical specialists and doctors enough time to find all possible ways and means to cure the patient's illness. My dear opponent said that big chance of transferring the infection of this contagious disease will let some people panic. What you have just stated is just a product of ridiculous thinking. Come on, my dear opponents. Don't you know that we were on the 21st century? Wherein all modern technologies are there to prevent the scattering of this infection. Don't you know the words isolation room, quarantine period? We cannot attempt to sacrifice the life of a patient because of findings of only one doctor. Why don't we ask the second opinion of other doctor? I will be straightforward. Euthanasia goes beyond the norm, moral, ethics, and establishment of Philippine law and its people. Killing is not a normal attitude, whether it is permitted or not. It will never be normal, neither moral nor ethical, because no probability could tell how long we live in this world. We, and the negative side, strongly oppose that euthanasia be applied with the said patient. This is our stand, and no probability, no statistics, no mathematical principle could change our stand. Thank you.
Interpellation.
This question is answerable by yes or no only. You are saying that trying to keep him alive by wasting millions will help?
Yes.
Are you joking, Ms. Musaso? How are you going to provide the money needed? We are talking about sustaining him for a very long time, as long as we can. Now, follow-up question. Would not you risk millions to save one and cause him to infect and waste billions more and even kill the life of others?
Let me remind you, Mr. Achilles, saving one's life is not a joke. Just imagine, people inside this room, we are saving mankind, our brother, our sister, our scientists, doctors, and specialists has given a lot of time to find a cure, and when it is discovered, problem solved, and the spreading of virus will end. Let's hear the rebuttal speech from the affirmative side.
Kala ko kami pag-single doctor.
Mic check. A pleasant afternoon to everyone. Mercy killing is the best process to help patients about the constant suffering and pain. For that case of disease, mercy killing is very needed at this time because of being terminally ill with no cure. Contagious disease increases the probability of getting infected. So we do not think only the patient's life. We need also think about the safety of other people. We all know that the life of human being is very important. But we have to sacrifice one's life for the protection of many. From your side, Ms. Singson, you stated that there's technology to relieve the pain that the patient is feeling right now. You also said that you are ready to spend millions of money in order to prolong the patient's life. But the big question is, do you have enough financial resources needed by the patient? Do you have enough money to provide? Because we are not talking about sustaining him for a day or two. You will have to sustain him every day for as long as it takes. Everything in this world has its limitation. It is not easy to see why such a patient would not choose death rather than living with his illness and taking unbearable pain. They would be prisoners of their own suffering. Would you like to see him every day living in pain, sorrow, and suffering? Technology can solve problems, but not all. I'm here in front of you, confidently asking that if it was your beloved person in that situation, would you rather see that person experience peace, or would you like to keep him alive, let them experience heal, and let them infected people you also love? Oh my dear opponent, use your mind to think about it. According to Mr. Tacolod, he stated that there's a country illegalizing euthanasia. But let me tell you this, there are also countries who legalize it. Countries like Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, and other countries in Europe. According to Canadian government, Canadian adults who are mentally ill and is suffering intolerable and permanently had the right to doctor's help in dying. Until the government took notice of this, they gave the opportunity to legalize and draft new laws and policies around assisted dying. A person's decisions to end his life can have a profound, often lifelong effect on the lives of others. There may be guilt, anger, bitterness felt by those left behind. Legalization will not public conscience. The law is powerful. Educator of public conscience. People may cease to have strong feelings once practice becomes legal and widely accepted. Voluntary euthanasia could give power to ease the severe pain experienced by the patient. Doctors need to law to restrain the temptation to speed up dying for the terminally ill and acquired patients. The right to die to become the duty to die. All people can be made to feel burdened and their families. Health insurers and hospital managers find euthanasia for cheaper than extended medical care. Ladies and gentlemen, I am standing in front of you to say that euthanasia should be applied in the same patient. Why should we prolong the pain the patient and family are experiencing? Why should we allow the contagious disease will transfer from one person to another? Because euthanasia is like a love. If you really love someone, you have to set them free. Thank you.
Speech from the negative side.
Mic check. Greetings, everyone. To you, dear judges, and to you, Sir Abdullah. A pleasant afternoon to all of you. What is euthanasia? This is defined as the termination of human life by painless means for the purpose of ending physical life. Everyone here in the room, in your mind right now, picture the person you love with all your heart. If you knew that person was infected by the disease and nothing in this world would cure such thing, even the greatest doctors in the world cannot, wouldn't you want to be with them more longer? You don't know their time in this world is finite? Mr. Kata, you stated that euthanasia ends another person's life and it is the best way to relieve pain and suffering from incurable or terminal conditions. I am 100% against your point. There are a lot of pain relievers that are invented and approved by the experts that are safe. And there's a lot of ways to keep a patient alive, just like Miss Simpson said. Technology can preserve and value our life. Mr. Uso, you stated that euthanasia is not a murder? Really? Murder is also about killing. Think of it. It's really obvious that you kill a certain patient who's not guilty of harming others. People who gather in here in room. I ask, if you were in that person's shoes, what would you feel if someone wants to take off your precious life? Don't you think that declaring euthanasia is inferior and unfair to the family of the infected person? All people or species are standing or living in this world have a right to live. Mr. Argiles, how delusional of you to say that people has a right to die. According to the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines, there is no law that says a person has a right to die. You said a while ago, nobody thinks about their death. Then why would you agree with euthanasia? Yes, rational human beings desire a good and dignified end, but dying because of euthanasia is being irrational. Think, people, think. Applying euthanasia in a patient violates his right to am but upset that that is not a bad thing if your time has come to an end. But the statement, making that sooner isn't bad thing, it's being atrocious. It's easy for you to say because you're not in the situation. Let's take for an example. If you have an only child that has an incurable disease and they requested euthanasia to apply it to your child, would you still agree? Are you willing to sacrifice your only beloved child just because the doctor cannot cure him? Curing with euthanasia violates the constitutional policy that states values the dignity of every human person. Article 2, Sector 11, Philippine Constitution. And according to Republic Act 9201 Human Rights, that killing people, whether it is people or not, is illegal. There is no probability or mathematical principle that can predict how long we will live in this world. Probability is only a study for the four corners of the room to enhance your reasoning and resolving skills. This is not the basis for the patient's chance to live. 50% chance is a very big chance for a patient to survive. It's a doctor's job to save a life of a person. And if the doctors agree with euthanasia, then why would still consider themselves a doctor because they will kill a person with no cure? You are stupid enough to kill someone because you can solve this kind of problem. Therefore, I will say, I am against the euthanasia. Thank you.
Claire Casuno, what can you say about the debate a while ago?
Oh, partner! It's amazing! I can feel the pressure right now. So, who do you think the winning team?
That depends on the decision of the board of judges.
Prior to that, may we call on Sir Abdullah to deliver his final message. Let's give him a round of applause!
Thank you very much, equally beautiful, with a heart and smart moderators of this afternoon's activity. I feel the tension. I feel the excitement. Are you excited, students, to determine who is the winning team?
Yes, sir!
Do you have your own bet who is the best speaker for this afternoon's activity?
Yes, sir!
Have you learned from the evidences being presented by the affirmative side?
Yes, sir!
Did they apply mathematical principles in their presentation, in their speeches?
Yes, sir!
How about the negative side?
Yes, sir!
Did they apply the essence of mathematics in presenting their evidences why they are refusing that mercy killing in that particular patient?
Yes, sir!
Okay, so at least your tension is being eased by the words that I have uttered. Now, since every one of you has learned something from our different speakers, 4 speakers from the affirmative side and 4 speakers from the negative side, I know that there are several things you learned from them. That is why what you're going to do is to write a reflection paper. And this reflection paper will be submitted on Monday because this is the last lesson that we had in this module 7 of our grade 10 mathematics, because when we say module 7, it is talking about probability, and we cannot avoid to discuss with the different gambling attitudes, gambling activities. That is why you can include in your reflection paper the negative impact or the weaknesses of these particular lessons, because we are talking about tossing a coin, gambling attitudes. That is why you can also use the evidences being presented by the negative side. What you can say, do you support them or your support is being given to the affirmative side? So don't forget to write your reflection paper. Now, anybody from the class who can say something about the insight that you have learned from this particular debate or this particular activity? Yes, anybody from the class? Okay, Kasim. Okay, come to me. Okay, so what can you say about the activity? Did you learn? Okay, say something about it.
I've learned that probability is applied in mathematics subject, and it can be also be applied in our lives. And also, I learned that probability has an advantage and disadvantages. Like for instance, in their debate, there is a negative side and affirmative side. And the problem of that is the patient has a contagious disease, wherein he or she must be killed or not. And by that, by the help of probability, we can easily determine how many percent that this patient will survive. That's all. Thanks.
Very good. Excellent idea. Amazing. Okay, that is a very good idea. Take note, probability has many advantages, especially in predicting natural calamities. Like for example, our election is fast approaching. That is why statistics take note, probability is a part of statistics. That is why, for example, a day before the election, there is a survey being conducted, and that survey is really a matter as a basis who will be the winning candidate, for example. And that is also, I think, no? So, probability has many applications, especially in the fields of medicine. So, are the judges ready to present the winning team as well as the best speaker this afternoon? Okay, I think our board of judges is not yet ready. Now, anybody from the class who can share something about the lesson or the evidences being presented by the affirmative side as well as the negative side? Yes, anybody? Say something about. Take note, we are always talking about gambling activities. As what I have said just a while ago in the introductory part of my speech, one of my students in the lower section asked me, Sir Abdullah, why are we talking about gambling activities? Are you encouraging us to do the same after our class? Students, it doesn't mean that I am always talking about gambling activities, is that I am encouraging you to do a gambling activities because probability is talking about a game of chance. So when we say game, it is something to do with probability. No? Then, as what I have also said, probability was being introduced in the four corners of the classroom because of the gambling attitudes of the two mathematicians. Okay, sir, are you ready to present the winning team as well as the best speaker? Now, ladies and gentlemen, before I am going to call the presence of our chairman of the board of judges, don't forget your reflection paper. Okay, students? Okay, what are you going to submit this coming Monday? Reflection paper. What are the things you are going to indicate in your reflection paper? Okay, about the advantages and disadvantages of probability and how probability is helpful in predicting natural calamity, or especially the topic that we have discussed is all about sciences, all about medicine. So you're going to integrate the evidences being presented by two competing teams. I myself cannot decide who is the winner this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to call Mr. Joseti Ibanez, the chairman of the board of judges, to present to us the winning team as well as the chairman, the best speaker of this afternoon's activity. The medals are ready there. Okay, sir. Take the floor.
Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the speakers. We are here to announce to you the winning team, at the same time the best speaker. This is the decisions of the board of judges. For the winning team, we have the negative side. The negative side, please stand up to receive your award. Okay, thank you very much. And for the best speaker, the best speaker goes to Speaker number 3. Argelius, John Dahlia. That's all for our award. Once again, congratulations.
Okay, thank you very much, Board of Judges. Okay, thank you so much, students. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.